Kid's gonna go out? Okay. You blister in the sun, come back in.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's real hot. Okay, I don't know about the rest of you. This is my 6th time to go through this parsha, and got to be honest, the first 5 times didn't speak a whole lot to me. A lot of burnt offerings, a lot of shekels, spirit of jealousy, this portion didn't speak to me a whole lot. And I was even discussing this with Wade and Whitney last night, that, I feel bad about that, except that every time I read through this 5 times this week, and every time I read through it, I got something different. So, hey. And I don't think that's God changing the word on me. I think it's Him revealing the word to me. So maybe that's a positive thing. Today is going to be kind of short. We're going to run kind of through this. I am more going to ask questions that I don't want you to answer, because you'll get mad at me if you do. Because I have some controversial stuff to ask. Because if we're not asking some controversial questions, what are we doing? You ask your questions. You ask those questions to your family all the time. If they believe differently than you do, they think you're constantly just asking them controversial questions. How dare you just desecrate Easter? I got that this year. So I'm just saying, if we can't do that to ourselves, in this room, if we can't do that to each other, then how are we going to be able to do it to our families? How are we going to be able to ask those questions and leave them open-ended so that they just think about them a little bit? So don't shoot the messenger. I just have a couple of things that hit me a little different this time. Okay, so there are 18 mitzvot in this portion. Commandments. And 7 of them are awesomely positive, and 11 of them are negative. Okay? They're on the negative side of things. They're on the don't do this or guess what. You know what I mean? And so when we start looking at the portion, we go, what is the first thing we're talking about? The first thing we're talking about are the descendants of Gershon, right? Now, once again, first 5 times reading through this, and I'm going, okay, why did they break up this portion? Does anybody else have an answer for that? Because I don't have an answer for it yet. But they broke up this portion, from the last time. If they had stopped the previous portion at 351, it would have made a little bit more sense to me. Because the descendants of Korath, they are covered before we get to this portion. And then we get to the descendants of Gershon. I think we're going to get to that in a minute, but something that really speaks to that is the wagons that are talked about later. What's not given to the Korathites?
Wagons.
Wagons.
They have to carry everything.
That's right. Why?
Why did they have to carry it?
Yeah.
Because David built a cart for the ark and
Okay.
stumbled and.
Yeah, but
Very good.
That's
Very
after.
good.
That's after.
Hey, no, wait. Is God before time or after time? He is time. He's everything. He knows what's going to happen. And this is something that Wade and I were having a good discussion about, I think. It just doesn't always seem like everything's written in order. Right? Because Korah, everybody remember that name? Yeah. What happened there? We know that there was a big falling out, if you will. big falling out. But Korah decided that, he was going to make some waves. He did.
Made a
And
hole.
do what?
Made a hole, not waves.
Yeah, made a hole,
Big hole.
right?
Single, yeah, right.
The first sinkhole, right? Actually, the earth completely swallowed them up.
Mhm.
That's when it says that the earth completely swallowed them up. Man, that you got to read that slowly because it's got that much magnitude with it, But all right, so that's who this is all about. I mean, this is their descendants of Korah. All right, and what is their job? Korah.
To take care of the stuff in the temple.
They were to take care of the things, the instruments in the temple, right? They weren't to take care of like the descendants of Gershon. Descendants of Gershon got what?
Covering.
They got all the coverings, right? They got all the draperies, basically.
The porpoise skins.
The porpoise skins or whatever.
Manatee.
All right, and then the descendants of Mariah. What'd they get? They got the poles. They got all the pillars. They got all the connections, right? All right. Now, this was interesting to me because Wade brought this up and he said, why don't we go back a little bit to 4:17 through 20. Okay? Now, once again, who are we talking about in 4:1 through 20? Kohathites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and said unto Aaron, saying, cut ye not off the tribe of the families of the Kohathites from among the Levites. Now, first off, why would he be talking about why would that even be in the discussion of cutting them out? Why would anyone feel like they needed to be cut out?
Because of their ancestors.
Right. Right. So it speaks to the whole fact that we don't get to the story of that, though, until when? Number 16. So, just saying that it seems like things are a little bit out of order, but I kind of think that was God's intention, and we'll get to that in a second. So cut ye not off the tribe of the families of the Kohathites from among the Levites, but this do unto them. So, consequence, right? There's going to be consequence. That they may live and not die when they approach unto the most holy things. Aaron and his sons shall go in and appoint them every one to his servant and to his burden. This next part's important. But they shall not go in to see when the holy things are, mine says covered, lest they die. Okay, mine says covered.
Uncovered.
But here's the thing. This is verse 20, 4:20. Okay? Now I know we're going out of the portion, but this is important, I think, because we need to actually put into what's going on in the situation. Why is it that this group would be considered outcasts? All right? When we went back to the actual Hebrew of this, the word is more inserted, right? It's not covered. Covered is a completely different word. Now here's the thing though. When we look at my translation and it says, but they shall not go in to see when the holy things are covered lest they die. Okay? Anybody gets that at all? I don't. That doesn't make much sense to me at all. Let's rephrase it. But they shall go in to see when the holy things are inserted lest they die. Still a little bit of a mystery there. Okay, what could that mean? All right, right? I mean, what is it actually saying?
You want the Hebrew, the word?
Okay, it's not going to help me, but
Well,
go
it
ahead.
says covered, but the word for covered is belah. And it says a primitive root to make away with, especially by swallowing. Generally, to destroy, cover, destroy, devour, eat up, be at end, spend up, swallow up.
Okay. Is that the word that's right there? Because we're reading it out of the Tanakh.
Okay.
I don't know where.
Beit Lamed Ayin.
Yep. All right, cool. There we go. So, why is it... All right, first off, What tribe is this from? What tribe are the Kohathites from? Levi. Right. They're Levites. Okay. What could every other Levite do?
Go.
They can see the holy things.
That's right. What can the Kohathites not do?
Yes. My version, 20 says, but they shall not go in to see the holy objects, even for a moment, or they will die.
Right. They have to be covered. They have to be inserted. They have to be taken out of the context. Okay? When one of the objects is being moved, is it in its context of use?
No.
No. So the table of showbread, we know it had staves that ran through it so that they could pick it up and move it, right? Well, when it was being moved, do you think they just willy-nilly let everybody just kind of go up and play on that table? I mean, my kids would be jumping up and down around that table if they could. They do it every time I try to move a piece of furniture. You know what I mean? But this is what's actually we're talking about here, is that they can't even go in and see these things, yet they're the ones that will have to do what to it? They have to carry it. They have to put it on their actual shoulders and move it from one place to another. And we know that when did they move? When the cloud moved. So, I bring all that up to say, I know that's not even really in our portion, but I bring that up to say it struck me differently that this is important. It struck me different because of the way that the fact that there's no wagons to be used on these for these instruments. It struck me as different when we were even talking about the fact that what happens to the Levitical priesthood. Okay, let's go generations down the line. What happens to the Levitical priesthood? Do things become more lax?
Yep.
No.
Absolutely, they do.
Yeah.
They absolutely become more lax. And the reason they do is because we know that, well, we can't understand these things. Nobody's doing these things. Let's put these fences around them. Or, you know what, there's too many people coming in right now. Let's make this harder to do. Or let's do it this way. Or let's what was going on? What was going on is that there was a change of hierarchy. And every time there was a change of hierarchy, there was a different opinion. There's a different opinion. And if that opinion wasn't being chastened by God, what happened? The people fell. Every time. I mean, we know this. This is history. So, I say all that to say that this is actually a picture of what is coming. We know that David built, he put the altar on a cart, and what happened? He touched it. Why did he touch it?
It was tipping over.
Was he going, I hate this stupid thing?
He just wanted to protect it from falling.
He didn't want it to fall. So whose fault was it? David's. Absolutely it was David's fault. Who was David mad at? God. He was mad at God. He's like, I don't want that stupid thing in our town. So he sent it away, right? He left it. He left it at the, I can't even remember that guy's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's house.
Right.
And he was blessed. And then it was like, oh wait, I found out he's being blessed. I need that thing back in our city. But there was a laxed attitude about it. What is being pictured here is that these are burdens. It actually calls them burdens. Were they good burdens? You think that was an actual honorable job?
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
I would think so. All right. So,
Even if you couldn't see it, even though it was wrapped up, knowing you're carrying the menorah, the table of showbread.
absolutely. Yes, sir.
Do you think you could maybe stretch a bit and kind of make a,
I'm about as stretched out as ever.
a comparison to that's kind of what we do?
Oh, sure.
We're charged with carrying
That's not a stretch at all.
those holy things, but we can't see them.
It's not a stretch at all. It's not a stretch at all.
We carry it inside of us.
Yes, sir.
Also, the one who touched it had been around it all this time,
Mm.
and it became too familiar.
Okay. Yeah, we know that it did. We know it did become familiar, commonplace, you know.
And instead of letting it, by catching it, he did not depend on God to take care of it.
You're absolutely right. But let me throw this out as well. We do things without thinking. We do things without thinking. And that's part of the fact that he was comfortable with it being in his presence. But what was the thing about the ark? Why was it with them? Why did they even have it?
Because it had been stolen.
Because they were going to reclaim it, right? They were going, no, this is our ark. And they also knew that when they had it in battle, what happened? But I'm just saying that it became commonplace. You're absolutely right, Fred. But what it had been done is that it was also something that, all right, husbands and wives in here, okay? Just bringing a husbands and wife scenario into this right quick. Or if you have kids. Anytime you've been in the car, you had to slam on the brakes. Men, what do you do with your right arm? Every time. There may be nobody in the car. And I've done that. Every time. All right? You do it without thinking. So I'm looking at the fact that when he touched it, he was going, it's falling.
It was reflex.
It was reflex.
Yeah.
But that was the sin of David. That was the sin of David. He made it commonplace.
Because it wasn't supposed to be carried, it had to be carried.
Right. It became lax. Everything about these utensils was supposed to be sacred. The fact that these were burdens, that these were sacred burdens, that was a thing that God blessed the Kohathites with, right? He blessed them with that. He gave them one of the most important jobs. Yet they were to be cut off. Or that was the thought. So, yes, sir.
One of the things that I think that is really important to keep in mind is that we do the same thing with the Torah.
Oh, sure.
You know, we look at specific commandments and we do them only how we want to. We don't do them in the way that they're exactly prescribed. You know, and I'm guilty of that. And we're all guilty of that. You know, taking certain commandments and kind of tailoring them to fit what we want them to basically be for us.
Sure.
You know, as opposed to what they're actually doing.
Okay. On that note, what is the tabernacle now?
Us.
Us?
Right.
Actually, we're the temple.
What?
Tabernacle was there.
Here's my point with that, though. Do we tailor make our diet?
I didn't
Do
fire
you
that.
tailor make your diet? Do you tailor make it to how you feel? Because guess what? If you feel bad, I know my wife loves chocolate.
So she was chocolate.
When she feels bad, she eats chocolate. When she's depressed, she eats ice cream. When she feels really stinky, like, just feels that icky feeling, she wants some fruit. We let everything determine what we put in our body. How hard are we on our bodies?
Too hard. No.
Too hard. I'm just making the point that we're treating God's temple the way we want to do it. Why? Because it's commonplace. How familiar are you with your body? Hopefully pretty. But at the same time, we've made it commonplace. And God set it apart. Right? So I'm making that point that it goes back to the Torah. How often do we use the commandments to our advantage or disadvantage, or just kind of put them on the side for a minute? Or we don't want to think about that, but we do it. Come on in.
Ty, maybe that's why with newborn babies, they go by the book. Because they're not very familiar with that little body. But then after a while, they drop the pacifier, they wipe it off and go along.
Oh yeah, we don't even wipe it off anymore. Now it's just pick it up.
Yeah, I guess that's why I didn't thought of
It is, and there again, it's This is speaking to not only what was going to happen to the Levitical priesthood, but what's going to happen to every one of us. Okay? Every one of us is going to become commonplace, or we're going to become comfortable with certain things that we shouldn't. And these are to be burdens, but are they supposed to be burdenful? No. But they're to be burdens. They're supposed to be things we carry on our shoulder at all times. That's why, what did the priest have on his shoulders?
Poles.
What did the priest have, the high priest have on his shoulders? The tribes. He was to carry the tribes on his shoulders every time he went into the holy place. So, let's keep going. All right. Another thing that I found interesting was the ages. Okay, at what age could you go to war in Israel?
30.
20.
When you go to war.
At what age could you go into service of the temple?
30.
30. That's awesome. In my opinion. I'm 31 years old. And I remember being 20 years old. And I'm so much in a better place. Let's put it that way. I don't even know how to put that in the right way. But when I was 20, I'd found Randy by that point. I knew I was going to marry her, but I hadn't done it yet. We hadn't started a family yet. Still wasn't responsible. I don't know how responsible I am right now, but life had a different meaning then than it does now. This book had a lot different meaning than it does now. And age doesn't necessarily determine that, but I will say that the last 10 years have been adulthood. Okay? From 10 years of age to 20 years of age is not adulthood. But at 20 you can go to war. Why?
You're physically capable.
Okay.
Teaches you discipline.
Okay.
Your strength.
Okay.
Because God says.
Well, yes.
I get that. That's right.
Well, you still have the vigor of youth, you know?
The vigor of youth, yes. Okay. Anybody else? I mean, come on, this is
Maybe you
popcorn.
don't have the responsibilities. I mean, you may not have family and children and stuff like that, which you should be staying home to take care of.
Okay.
Versus
Because when you first
going
get
off to
married,
war or
you
whatever.
can't go to war, you can't,
You're right.
you're not supposed to.
I think you're considered an adult by then.
Yes. Yes, sir.
You're going to take orders instead of giving.
I like that. Yes, sir.
Well, if you'll notice, Christ, how old was he when he first started preaching?
30.
Why?
Because God said so. Like Donnie said.
You weren't considered someone to listen to until you reached 30.
Okay.
By their culture.
All right. You got a point. And that's kind of where I'm going, Fred, on that note of what he's saying as well. And the reason is we got to kind of meld both those together. At 20, you're supposed to be given orders. All right? You're given orders, and you do them. Okay? You're not the head of the army at 20 years of age. All right? The 50-year-olds were the ones that were in charge. Okay? They were the hierarchy of it. At 30, you can be listened to and actually have something to say. At 20 years of age, you didn't want to listen to anything I had to say. You can remember that. You didn't want to listen to anything I had to say. All right? Why? I didn't have any life experience to put into it yet. I didn't have any responsibility to put into it yet. But, okay. Y'all get the point. I'm just making, there's a specific thing here about the age that we need to start looking at. The fact that Christ is also a picture of 30 years when he started his ministry. Okay? So, that just means he lines up.
Well, just in reference to even what Fred said, and obviously we see Christ modeling proper form, but then that would also explain why they didn't really, you think they really listened to him when he was at 12 years old and
Well, it said
in
he
the
did.
temple.
Yeah, it says in the scripture that they were.
Yeah, they marveled at it.
They marveled at it.
I think there's
Yeah.
a difference. They were marveling at him.
I marvel at Christopher all the time. That doesn't mean I listen to him. I mean, being honest.
Yeah.
Did you have something to say?
I'm having trouble finding it. There's actually, there's a passage in a tractate of the mission called The Sayings of the Fathers. It's all about wisdom. And it goes through different ages and how the things that are expected of someone, of a man specifically, by these certain ages. And it says, at 3, a woman needs to memorize Torah. At 10, Mishnah. Actually, 10 he learns a trade. At 20, marry his wife. And I'm totally paraphrasing. And then it says 30 for full strength. And so, by full strength, what exactly are we thinking about? Here's the deal. If you go out to war at 20 years old, okay, and you can display that sort of strength and prowess on the battlefield, how much more strength and prowess do you have at 30 to be able to be meticulous and mindful in serving in the temple?
Yeah. Going along with what you said, being able to follow orders, being able to follow meticulous orders. To the letter. If you're given an order in battle, you do it, no questions asked.
Sure.
Who listened to the Kohathites? Who listened to the Kohathites?
Probably the young men.
Okay. They're young men, probably.
And who was it advised Saul to talk to the other tribes, young people?
Yeah, the bad advice is when he listened to his young advisors.
I'm making the point, though, that the Kohath... Do what?
Did he say Saul?
Yeah. Rehoboam. What I meant...
Yeah, you're right.
Rehoboam.
I said Saul.
What I meant was the Kohathites were going to be cut out. Who was going to listen to them? Nobody. They're young men, probably. Okay? But nobody was going to listen to them. But their job was still one of the most important jobs there was. So, anyway.
It's a picture of how they carry the word. It's a picture of us carrying the Torah, of us there having the yoke of Torah. And how it shows that my burden is light.
Right.
My yoke is easy. My burden is light. So we're able to carry the Torah because we know the Torah.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's the only way we can. Because I don't know about the rest of you, but when I got into this, the first thing I thought was what I'd been taught. What I'd been taught was there were a lot of rules that I wasn't going to be able to keep anyway. You can't do it. That's what I thought, because that's what I was taught, And so, but actually seeing the ascension and the time, the grace of God, the time that He's given me in the Torah, I've gotten to actually see how, there's nothing hard about this. It's really not. I mean, guys, we can complain and moan about our families having a difference of opinion. There's nothing hard about this. It's a lot harder to believe this book if you don't follow Torah. I think it takes a lot more faith, in my opinion, to believe the New Testament if you don't have an understanding of Torah.
If you don't know the
Not real faith, though.
So I'm making the point that you're absolutely right. This is definitely a picture of us carrying the Torah and them carrying the ark. And the fact that even though their descendants had screwed up so bad as to be completely swallowed up by the earth, that they still had one of the most important jobs in all of is.
There again, it's a picture of us, some of our parents.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Thank goodness.